Now at 5, a few snow showers this afternoon and this evening, and a snowy Friday on tap where we could get a couple of inches in your forecast.
And student protests, more high schoolers left class again today.
We look into what rights students have to protest, plus the future of Eagle Creek.
Why a development in another county has people in Indy concerned about the water in their reservoir.
Big time trade in the NBA impacting the Indiana Pacers and potentially this upcoming NBA draft for the blue and gold. We're going to break it all down.
Well, we're getting you prepared because more snow and cold temps are on the way, and it could make your morning commute a bit dicey. Thanks for joining us. I'm Felicia Lawrence.
I'm Dustin Grove, and for Anne Marie, who is covering the Winter Olympics in Italy. And Angela, we're bracing for more winter weather.
Yeah, we didn't time this right on Friday morning. Come on. But yes, we've got a few flurries out there this evening and a round of snow expected during that Friday morning drive. So a couple of things to show you on radar this evening. Those little bursts of snow, enough to coat the ground, perhaps if you get under a steadier one from Marion into the Muncie area. All of this tracking off to the south and east. Close-up view of Delaware County, and then as we head up into Marion, south of Anderson, into Newcastle. The other thing I want to point out here on radar, the winter weather advisory in effect for some of our far eastern counties and then into portions of Ohio. This is for the potential of several inches of snow. We're expecting anywhere from a ½ inch up to 2 inches, maybe a little more the farther east and northeast you go. This will have an impact early tomorrow morning. You can see with Future Track 13, first thing tomorrow, it's into Fort Wayne, it's into Kokomo by 7, 8 a.m. Continues to push south and will have an impact on that morning drive. If the snow arrives early enough, we may end up with some school delays first thing tomorrow morning. That moves out, and then we get some additional bursts of snow tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. Looking ahead to a cold weekend, but also a warm up in the 7-day in a few minutes.
Ooh, looking forward to that, Angela. Thank you. As we get ready for this round of winter weather, make sure you've got our 13 app downloaded on your phone. You can check current conditions and know what to expect before you head out tomorrow morning.
Well, we have seen students from several area schools protesting ice this week, and that trend continues today in Avon.
Brandon Schaff was there as hundreds of students walked out of school and around campus to make their voices heard.
Avon High School students taking a lap around their school on Thursday, using their signs and voices to protest ice. Student organizers urged people to take action and speak up, voicing their concerns about what's happening in America right now, after 2 people were killed in deadly shootings by federal authorities in January.
Everybody needs to understand how deep that this situation really is. Nobody's really grasping the gravity of this. We really need to get ice out. We also tried having a walkout last week and it didn't go very well. There's only like 3 people who tried doing it. So from 3 people to well over 100, this is great for our school. And hopefully this isn't the first one. We want to do more.
Debbie Nauta has 2 kids attending Avon High School and wanted to be there to make sure the walkout went smoothly. She says only one of her kids wanted to participate.
That's what this is all about. You know, make your own decisions, think for yourself, become informed. They do actually believe the same thing. One of them is just older and much more passionate about it.
Nauta says she's proud of her kids having the choice to stand up for what they believe. Other students were impressed with the large turnout and described the gym inside as filled with people chanting and encouraging others to join the walkout.
If you want to go out there and protest or try to stand up, absolutely do it. There's going to be others who support you. You're doing the right thing. You're on the right side of history.
In Avon, Brandon Schaff, 13 News.
And some have been asking how were they able to do this? Well, Avon School says students were given the opportunity for their parents to give them permission to leave school early.
And we've seen these walkouts at schools across central Indiana over the last week. Some students are even facing suspensions because of it. And it's raised the question, what First Amendment rights do students have to protest? Jenna Webster looked into the answer.
Silence is not an option, students say.
And I think that our voices are stronger as one, and when we come together, then we make a very large impact.
All week, high school students across Indiana are walking out of class. It's part of a national wave of protests tied to immigration enforcement and ICE activity. Springfield is mourning ahead of a Friday walkout. Students will face a 3-day suspension. Southport students tell 13 News more than 100 students are facing suspensions.
As long as we have that First Amendment right, we're going to keep doing whatever we can to show that.
But what are students' First Amendment rights?
In Tinker versus Des Moines, which was an important 1969 Supreme Court case, reaffirmed the rights that students have.
The Supreme Court case famously says students do not shed their constitutional rights to freedom of speech or expression at the schoolhouse gate. But a walkout isn't fully covered by that.
So symbolic speech is constitutionally upheld for students in high schools. Right? Walking out of a protest, leaving school grounds, disrupting learning, right? That would be a violation of the school policies. And that's where those First Amendments for students in these circumstances would end.
Laura Wilson teaches a constitutional law class at UND. She says it's because schools are legally responsible for students during school hours.
If you're breaking a rule that exists, like not leaving campus, not leaving class, not being absent, the First Amendment is not going to give you a right to be absent.
It means schools can take disciplinary action if students miss school without an excused absence.
They can't say, if you are absent because of this political message, we're going to punish that more harshly. That violates core First Amendment neutrality principles.
The punishment has to be the same as any other unexcused absence, regardless of what the students are protesting about. Jenna Webster, 13 News.
And Steve Sanders, the IU law professor, says courts could look at a walkout protest differently if it happens during lunch because students would not be missing class.
Tonight, we're learning more about the shooting of a Tippecanoe County judge, a story that has made headlines around the country the last couple of weeks. 6 people are now charged in connection with the shooting of Judge Steve Meyer and his wife. And tonight, court documents are telling us what the potential motive was behind that shooting. The 6th person, Nevaeh Bell, was arrested on multiple charges, including attempted murder and conspiracy to commit murder. One of the suspects, Thomas Moss, was out on bond at the time. He's facing several violent felonies in another case. 2 days before he was set to go on trial in Judge Meyer's courtroom, the judge and his wife were shot in their home. Court documents say another suspect, Raylan Ferguson, admitted to being the shooter. Police say he thought Moss was going to spend the rest of his life in prison and wanted to give him more time with his son. Court documents also say that Ferguson didn't want to be part of the plan, but went through with it to clear a debt with Moss. Judge Meyer and his wife are both recovering. Police say the judge suffered an injury to his arm. His wife suffered a hip injury.
In just under half an hour, the City Council's Parks Committee will meet to discuss the future of Eagle Creek Reservoir. Well, we've heard from several residents who say they are concerned about Citizens Energy Group's plan to supply water to Boone County, the site of the LEAP district. Lebanon Utilities is the supplier of water to LEAP. Citizens Energy says it plans to direct up to 25 million gallons a day to the utility, but that it will draw water from multiple sources across Indiana. Tonight's meeting will bring in protesters from environmental groups and utilities. Our Alex Almanza is at that meeting set for 5:30 at the City County building. It will also be live streamed on the city's website, indy.gov. And there's just about 3 weeks to go in this year's legislative session, and that means lawmakers are in the final weeks to get bills passed.
Home stretch. One of them addresses the increasing cost of electricity. You know all about that if you've opened your power bill lately. 13 News State House reporter Emily Longnecker explains what it is, how supporters say it would help, and the changes lawmakers are making to it.
Yeah, well, we've talked about House Bill 1002 before. It is a priority bill for House Republicans, and some of the provisions in it that impact Hoosiers deal with billing for electricity and protections against shutoffs during extreme heat. Lawmakers on the Senate's Utilities Committee heard details of the bill Thursday. Those details came with some changes, among them requirements around shutting off electricity during extreme heat. Under changes made Thursday, there's still a prohibition on shutting off electricity during that time, but shutoff protections are now tied to forecasts at the county level or smaller, not an entire region. Also, the original bill required utilities to put all residential customers on budget billing automatically, with customers having the choice to opt out. Under the changes approved by lawmakers Thursday, that requirement would be scaled back. residents would not be automatically enrolled in budget billing, and customers already on a different payment plan could stay on it. Only low-income households receiving or applying for help would automatically be placed on budget billing. The bill and changes to it saw widespread support from those who testified, even as some expressed concerns that low-income households appeared to be singled out.
We're not supportive of the optics of basically saying, well, everybody doesn't have to do this, but this population does. That said, if the goal here is to ensure ongoing monthly affordability, uninterrupted service of these critical, essential services, then that makes a little bit of sense.
And this bill passed unanimously today out of committee with bipartisan support. It has obviously support from Republicans who back it as a key utility affordability and modernization bill. Democrats back it too, but some have argued that it doesn't go far enough to protect customers against high electricity costs. At the Indiana State House, Emily Longnicker, 13 News.
Emily, thank you. Big news from the NBA today. The Pacers making a significant trade right before the deadline.
It came quick. It involves Bennedict Mathurin and several draft picks. Dom joins us in studio to break all of this down. And what are the contents of this trade?
Yes, it had been rumored for a while, really dating back to even last year, that Bennedict Mathurin could be on the move. And sure enough, that was the news today coming out of ESPN right ahead of the NBA trade deadline. All right, first, Pacers are getting Ivica Zubac, a 28-year-old center who had a career year last year, averaging 16 points, 12 rebounds in 80 games. That was the crux of this whole thing, all right, aside from Bennedict Mathurin. The Pacers really wanted to fill that void left by Miles Turner this offseason. They were searching extensively for a solid fix and solution for that position, and they found it in Zubac for the time being. The Pacers will also be getting Kobe Brown, former first-round pick, hasn't really hit his stride in the league yet. All right, here's where this gets a little bit hairy. It's quite the payment for those two guys coming out of Indiana. First, Bennedict Mathurin and Isaiah Jackson. See you later. Obviously, we know what they meant to this team. Their fits were kind of being called into question, but it's 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick, all right? That would be a 2029 unprotected first-round pick and a 2028 second-round pick, which is from the Dallas Mavericks. Okay, the interesting part of this trade is the 2026 protected first-round pick, especially since the Pacers have one of the worst records in the league. The pick is protected 1 through 4 and 10 through 30. So that means if after the NBA draft lottery at the end of the season, that Pacers pick lands anywhere from 5th to 9th in the draft order, the Clippers get it. If it lands outside of that range on either side, so 1 through 4, 10 through 30, the Clippers would instead get the Pacers' 2031 unprotected first-round pick. So, hard to understand a little bit, but this trade can really change in value depending on what happens at the NBA draft lottery at the end of the season. So mitigated risk for the Pacers, whose 2026 first is obviously valuable because they have one of the worst records in the league, but enough skin in the game to get who they see as a very valuable center in Ivica
Zubac.
Yes.
Okay.
Career year, and the center position was in question after Miles Turner left. So. And they want everything to be in place when Tyrese Halliburton returns next year, right? So that could be a top 4 pick in the draft and a brand new center on this team.
Okay, that was my question. Is this a good trade?
Yeah.
I can't keep up with everything with the pick.
It's 2 first-round picks, a second-round pick, and 2 solid players.
Okay.
For Zubac,
All right.
essentially. Nothing against Kobe Brown, but
yeah. It is what it is. All right, try and come up with a chart next time.
Yes, I know.
With a pointer.
Yeah, I'm visual, so.
Thanks, Don. Appreciate it.
I'm visual, Angela. That's why I do so well with you.
I know, because I'm going to show you a snow map and the timeline for that snow that's on the way for tomorrow. And it's going to be a cold weekend. I'll have a look ahead.
Yeah, give us pictures. Thanks, Angela.
And scam warning.
The concerns one county has after lifelike calls are targeting a specific population. That's ahead at 5:30. First at 5, policy changes.
The cost behind these federal changes and who is saying that the price tag is just too high.